this video, in this lesson, we are going to learn a simplest program again, a program that is actually about displaying a pattern like a right angle triangle with a number. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to use code blocks and we are going to use the C language. So let us get started and see in here what do I have and what do I have to do. Hopefully you are all in the same page. So what is the first thing you do when you start a program? You start by saying hashtag include. You start by writing hashtag include and you say stdio.h. That is the first thing you do. And secondly, you go and write your main function. You open and close the brackets. Thirdly, you go and open these brackets. You can close them if you want, or you can just open them and close them when you're done with your program. Now we'll be writing a program which is actually displaying a triangle, but in this triangle of ours we need the number of rows that the triangle will actually need to have, and also we need we need something that we can manage the rows and something that can manage to print out the data in the rows. So in that way we are going to use two for loops, meaning we will have a for loop within a for loop, and the first for loop will have a variable which is I, and the second for loop will have a variable which is j, and both of these variables are the loop counters. Now let us declare the variables. We'll start declaring the variable which we will require from the user, which is rows, the number of rows which we are going to need in the triangle, and we'll be declaring the I and the j and go and say semicolon. And after that, what do we have to do? And after that, we have to actually print out something that will tell the user on what to do. Since we'll require the user to enter the information, now the user has to know when to enter that for information, and now we'll be using our printf function to display a message that actually tells the user what to do. So we'll say enter the number of pages. Enter the number of triangles. We'll say enter the number of triangles. The number of rows. What I'm saying, the number of rows. I guess like there's a lot on my mind, but yeah, let us go on. Enter the number of rows, meaning it's actually the number of rows will require for this triangle of ours, and we go and say semicolon. And now after this we go and say scanf. What does scanf do? Scanf basically reads information from the keyboard, and we use %d as always. What does %d do? Percentage is basically a placeholder for the info, the data that has been entered on this line, which is line number 6, and we're now assigning our value, which is rows in here, and we go and write our semicolon again in this point. Hopefully we are still together and we still understand what is actually going on in here. The first in this row, which is row number 4, we were declaring the variables. Here we were actually trying to display a message. We're actually using the printf function in order to be able to display a message that tells the user what to do. And in here we are taking we are storing the variable that has been entered by the user, so that the computer could actually know what the variable is and how many rows we're actually dealing. Now let us go through each row. Go through each. Okay, let us get to the main body of our program. So what is the first thing we will actually do now? Since I have told you we will actually be creating a for loop, let us generate this triangle pattern. Let me say it like that. So how are we generating this triangle pattern? We will use the for loop, and we will say for and say I. The I, remember we don't have to say int I because we have already declared the I in here. So we'll say I and initialize the I to 1, meaning our data will start. We initialize our initial number is actually 1, and we go and write the condition, and the condition says I is less or equal to the number of rows, which is the rows in here. We wrote them as rows, so we just have to continue with that, and we go and write the update expression, which is in our case I plus the increment, and we go. There's no semicolon. Forgive me for that. I always forgot, but there is no semicolon in that place. Now we have to go to this and create another for loop in here again. So this for loop, this one is actually the outer loop, and this one we're creating is actually the inner loop, And now what you have to do is using that j variable, and you initialize the j variable to 1 again, and you do it like this, and you write the condition. And after writing the condition, you say j is less or equal to, which is equal to I. And now you go on like this, and after going on like this, you now write the update expression. So it's actually an increment in here again. And after that, now you have to print out the information. So you will be using the variable, you will be using the function printf. So you will do it like this, and now you will be using the %d, which is basically a placeholder. Now you want to print the data, which is the data is only on j. I will explain this for now, but just that I want to finish it up first and explain why you're seeing everything written down, because I want you to actually understand what is actually going on in here. And you print again, you print in here again, and you do it like this. Okay, new line, and it's your semicolon, and after that you close the brackets. These brackets goes with this, and this one goes with this one, and you return to 0. And this is where you want you're doing. So now let me try to actually actually explain this in using a real life situation. These loops. Let us say, imagine you are tasked with actually printing out a series of pages for a book, and so each page should contain a list of numbers from 1 to the page number. I don't know if you hear me. Each page should contain a list of numbers from 1 to the page number. So let us say this in here is actually the outer loop. So in this book of yours, what is the first thing you ask yourself? You say, okay, I'm asked to create a book. I am tasked to print out a series of pages for a book. So you start asking yourself, okay, how many pages does this book actually have? And you find that, okay, this book actually has 1,000 pages. And you say, okay, so now, meaning this is the step. This is the step, because from this step we now know how many rows. So you say, how many pages does this book actually have? And you say 1,000 pages. And you go, okay, you say, okay, let me start my work and do what I'm tasked to do. And you go and say, you go to the first page of 1,000 pages. You go to the first page of 1,000 pages, and you print it 1, that is the initial value. You print it like 1. And after that, after printing, you don't print in here. You go to the first page, and after going to the first page, you print that first page as 1. And you go to the second page, meaning this loop in here, which is this first loop in here, actually focusing on going to the first loop, going to the second loop, going to the third loop, up to the last, going to the first page, second page, third page, up to the last page of the book. And this here, this one in here, actually focus on printing out this series. So if you're actually on page number 1, this loop will actually print out number 1. If you're actually on page number 2, this loop will actually print 1, 2. If you are actually on page number 3, it will print 1, 2, 3 on page number 3. And on page 1000, it will print all the numbers you have to get through. You have to go through just to get on 1000. And if you have you're on page 10, it will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is basically what is happening in here. This one actually, it says it goes to the first row. It says how many rows? I have 5 rows. And it says, okay, let me go to the first row. And when you go to the first row, after it has gone to the first row, it increments. But okay, now I'm finished with the first row. That is where the incrementation goes, gets. That's where this update expression, that's where we get this update expression. So it goes to the first row and say, okay, I'm finished with the first row now, and says, okay, number 2, let me go to the second row. And you did say in the you have 5 rows. It says, okay, I'm in row 2 of the 5 rows, and it goes to row 3, and it goes to row 4. It is still running. It keeps running and running and running until it gets and until you said you have 5 rows. So when it gets here, it will say, okay, On row number 5, it will, okay, let me go on row number 5 and says, okay, I'm in row number 5 of 5. And now when it comes in here and says, okay, let me go on row number 6, it says, no, I don't have 6 rows. I only have 5 rows, and now I have to stop. And that's where the loop actually stops. And in here, whenever it goes to the first row, it comes and it goes and says, okay, let me print number 1. On page number 2, it prints 1, 2. On page number 3, it prints 1, 2, 3. Page number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes in like that. But let us run it and see if it actually works or not. Let us start by actually building, which is compiling. You can save it however you want, it's up to you. As you can see in here, I don't seem to have any errors. Let us run it and see. Okay, let us wait, let us have patience. I don't know what is actually going on with my PC, but yeah, it says in here, enter the number of rows. Let us say, now it's telling you to enter the number of rows. Let's say you want 9 rows. You click 9. I don't know what is going on, but I did click 9. Let us wait and see what is actually about to happen. Please have patience, please have patience. So you did enter 9. But what is happening in here? I'm so sorry for that. I am so sorry for that. This is the perfect one. So as you can see it here in here, it does give us the result, which is this triangle shape.